All right, now we're going to jump into the next two filters here. And one of them is going to be alphas. The other one is textures. So what's the difference between the two? Generally speaking, alphas are going to be black and white images. Textures are going to be color-based images. But the reason why I'm collecting them under one umbrella is they both generally do the same thing. They're changing the look and the appearance of our object with an image. And the difference is kind of how you generally use both of them. Like generally speaking, the alphas I will use as part of a mask operation. So an example of this would be like, I really love these kind of wrinkle alphas that I have. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these and just drag one of these onto my ball man here, and I wanna add it to the mask. Now, initially nothing happens, and that's because, if I wanted to, I could change the color of it, or I can do whatever I need to do here. But for the purposes of what we're doing here, we actually wanna use it to change the height. So I'm actually going to push this down or lift this up, and now I can go into this fill, scale it up, and you can see that it's adjusting the look again from black and white image. And of course I can go in, add a filter, blur this up a little bit to make it a little bit softer if I want. So that's generally how you're going to be using alphas, is in a mask element that's going to change the look. And again, like I could do this, I can add another layer, make a black mask, add a fill, and then go down here to one of these patterns, drag that in here, and now I can use that to change, to drive a look difference as well. But again, because these are black and white images, they work really, really well as the alpha channel on something, and can really help you define the look of your final object. Now, the textures, on the other hand, are going to work a little bit differently depending on what they are. So if, let's say, it's a logo, you can drag and drop them on, and then you can simply add them to the base color. And that's a good way of using that because it's got color information. Again, the colored images don't really make the same amount of sense as a mask because it's all 0 to 1 value, so it's not going to give you exactly what you're thinking. So having it as a color element really helps. Now you can drag and drop it on there, and it'll create a warped element, or you can create a layer and then drag and drop them into the things like the base color, right? Which will then make a tileable texture over everything. Or I can go in here and say I don't want it to repeat, and I can go to my UV view and just say I want it right over here, right? There we go. So that's the main difference. The other thing I will say about the textures is that they also contain normal information. So same thing, like if I wanted to, make some wrinkles all over this thing, I can go in and then you'll find these same wrinkle mats that I have as normals as well. I can just drag and drop that into the normal channel, which will now get tiled over top of everything. You can see. And then you can, again, use the same thing. Now, in this particular case, I would need to add the filter, and this would be the blur filter, and I would need to tell it which of these channels to blur out. Oh, wait, that's why I don't have it. There we go. I needed to blur the normals. There we go. So you can blur out the normals a little bit there. All right, so that's the main difference between those two. And again, you're going to be using these a lot, and you can either get them through the window here, or you can go in and I can search for them this way as well. I can say, let's say I want a pattern here and drop this on, and then I can tile that up as well. All right, so that's the main difference between alphas and textures and their use cases. In the last of these drop-down filtering sections, we're going to be taking a look at environments.